that looks like us, but their lives are a lot harder. Wakanda has the tools to liberate them all.
Hey, what it do, y'all? It's your boy King Kurt live, and we're here with a special guest, a special opportunity to kind of get the community in the know and excited for a dope event that your boy, yours truly, is definitely pulling up to personally with the crew. And I have to say, the brothers pulling them from all sides of the spectrum because I'm going through the guesses. I'm like, that's my homie. I said, Skip gonna be there. Venture Brothers gonna be there. I said, that's about to be a party down in NOLA. So, of course, I had to bring them on, let y'all know what's going on. But first and foremost, let me introduce the creator, the CEO of Blerdfest 2024. Please introduce yourself.
How you doing? My name is True.
True, super excited to have you onto the show. I became cognizant of your event maybe 3 years ago. 3 years ago, a lot of people were kind of buzzing because there's a bunch of different, Black nerd events, Black nerd conventions that are popping up, and people are absolutely looking for a place to go where culture meets nerdism, and of course Black culture influences everything. Mm-hmm. In your own words, what makes Blerdfest special?
So I've been going to cons for 45 years or so, longer than
just a short little time.
Longer than many of the Blerds watching this have been alive. And I see a lot of cons now that I feel they're cons in name only. They feel more like pop-up shops where someone rents a big venue and fills it with vendors and just charges you money to walk in the door so that you can spend more of your money. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's whatever, but we're much more about the content. We're about educational and vocational content to bring into the Black community because, we need help. There isn't a field, there isn't a profession, there isn't anything in this world that is positively valued in which Black folks have a proportionate representation. Other than like the NBA or something, you don't
sports we got.
You don't have Black folks in jobs, in careers, in fields representative, with a proportionate representation to our population. And we're trying to remedy that. We're trying to bring in educational and vocational content into the Black community that people can benefit from by bringing in Black excellence in a lot of Black creative fields. We bring Black film producers and directors and screenwriters and actors and comic book writers and artists and cosplayers and comedians And we're trying to be a hub, at the very least in the Gulf Coast, of this type of Black excellence, so that we can bring those people in to share their experiences. How did they find out about their careers? How did they enter their careers? How did they become the first Black woman to win an Oscar for production design, for example?
I think, because it's funny, in the comments they're already saying they keep me missing Blerdfest. Honestly, people know, people are aware, and I love what you're saying, because it gives people, like, I'm in Philadelphia, and typically people kind of stay local. If anything, the tri-state. Now, Blerdfest is in New Orleans, right?
Yes, it is.
And has it always been in New Orleans?
Yes, we started in 2019 here in New Orleans. We had a 3-year COVID hiatus, but we came back post-COVID last year, and this will be our 3rd event.
See, that's amazing to me, because one, for a lot of people, when they first make that trek, that expedition to an event that they want to get excited for, I think New Orleans is a great city to visit. I love NOLA, like, through and through. It's a great town to go to. Outside of just Blerdfest, it's a great city to visit. It's a big tourist hub.
It is.
Having Blerdfest in New Orleans, how does that accentuate the event?
Well, New Orleans is the center for festivals, at least in this country. So I think that we tie into and capitalize on that history and tradition of festivals, because it's like, I think that there is a new movement with Black folks getting into things that, not very long ago, your interest in them would have people saying that you were acting white, or into that crazy stuff that, other people were doing. But
Black people don't do that. Yeah.
Exactly. But there is a new generation of Black folks that are breaking out of those sort of traditional delineations. And we're trying to incorporate that new movement, but also tying it into the ways in which we have historically expressed ourselves, which people may not make the connection between the old traditions and these new traditions that people are creating. But I think New Orleans is a nexus, in the United States at least, between the old and new. We are, this city is older than the country. It's a city that has been ruled under 3 different colonial powers. It has the strongest African cultural presence in the United States because of its unique history with its enslavers. And so I think by drawing upon all that history, we're in a unique position to sort of combine it and juxtapose it with the new traditions that people are creating.
True. I had never thought of it like that, but I absolutely see what you mean. When I envision New Orleans and the times that I spent it, the culture is so rich. And I think Blerdfest is also a manifestation of that same richness, because I've already started to look over some of the guests for the event, and I'm in awe. You have curated quite a lineup of individuals. I mean, what was the thought process that went into that?
Well, I'll let you in on a little open secret.
Okay. Come on, talk to me.
I think that I have undiagnosed autism. Okay. So if you're familiar with people on the spectrum, people on the spectrum tend to have fixations. Like, they focus on a particular thing really super intently. Like, I'm going to free climb, the north face of El Capitan, or I'm going to, become the foremost expert on, stamp collecting or whatever. And my hyperfixation is on art and community building with Black people. So, when I moved here I grew up in Los Angeles, hated it, left, went to New York, loved it, but it didn't really
New York
it didn't really give me all the things that I needed. And when I came to New Orleans, I had loved New Orleans for decades. But when I got down here, I very quickly saw that I'm Black and I'm a nerd, but I found that I could go to nerd events if I wanted to be the only chocolate chip in the cookie, or I could go to Black events if I wanted to be the only nerd in the room. And I'm not necessarily comfortable in either, in either
stand alone
scenario. Like, I'm interested in that Venn diagram overlap between Blackness and nerdiness. Like, I'm not concerned with all of Black folks or all of nerds. I want the Black nerds. Like, that's my
community. The sweet spot.
And I didn't find much of that specifically here in New Orleans. And because my brain, I think I also have ADHD.
It's making you a winner, I can tell you that. Jasmine said it's a superpower. So
I think because of my cognitive issues, like, my brain really needs a lot of novel stimulus on a regular basis. So if I'm in a space that is not supplying all of my the stimulus I need to keep my brain awake, then I feel compelled to create that which my brain feels that it's lacking, so that I can tell it to, like, shut up.
To quiet the mind, you have to feed it.
Yeah.
And I love
because
it.
I didn't find a lot of Black nerdy events here. I thought, actually, there is a secret society here in New Orleans called Mystics, Orphans, and Misfits. They have two huge balls.
I wasn't gonna laugh. All right,
they have two huge balls. They've got two really huge balls, one in Halloween and one during Carnival. And I've been going for years. I love it. It's the best party that I've probably ever been to in my life, or at least the best recurring party that I've gone to.
So you're telling me I need to come back for that too?
I mean, it's great. Huge space, thousands of people, mandatory costumes, and you have a choice. If you come in a costume that they deem insufficient, you can go in naked.
Hey, wait a minute. This is my kind of little Drew. Who done told you about me?
I mean, they've got all of these people. They've got such a massive space that they can have multiple stages with multiple bands playing simultaneously. But what they don't have is a lot of melanin. And in 2018, I went and I was having a great time, but I was like,
just me, huh?
How is it that in a city that's 60% Black, can you have a 95% white event? And I thought, I love this vibe. I will come every year. However, while I enjoy the activities and the festivities and the music and the art and the light shows and all that kind of thing, I've had my share of socializing in majority white environments, and that's not where I want to be. Like, I want those things, but I want it with people that are more aligned with a more holistic sense of myself, and that includes people that are, at least of color and specifically Black, and that's where Blerdfest grew out of. It was inspired by Mom's Ball, and I wanted essentially a Mom's Ball with more melanin, and so I turned to my Facebook community and I asked, does anyone want to do like a costume ball, but not like a traditional old school New Orleans costume ball, but like a modern, nerdy, blerdy costume ball? And the idea of a costume ball sort of turned into something like, a Comic-Con.
Bro, you have people from I'm a Virgo, woke, Blackula.
Yeah.
Black, like that is culturally in the hard nerd world. Like, I love how you don't just bring in nerds. You bring up nerds of all genre likes, because
I'm digging deep in the crates, as DJ
bro.
said.
If you was a DJ, I would have just been like, yo, where did he pull that one from?
I was a DJ in a former life, and yeah, I'm digging in the crates. Like, I just go through my life, and when I meet someone, like, this little bell goes off. I'm like, oh wait, can I swear? Can I?
you can cuss all the fuck you want.
I'm like, oh
I
shit!
just try not to
Like,
cuss because I don't be wanting to offend nobody else.
like Janae Michelle, she is a friend of mine now. She is a friend of a friend, and I met her, and I started hearing her life story and how she's been acting for over 50 years. She was up for a part in Scream, Blackula Scream. It was her or Pam Grier, and as she put it, they're like, so they went with the boobs.
Yeah.
But the more she
with
told me, I was like, she's a perfect fit. She's a perfect fit for Blerdfest because, you know, she's been in blaxploitation movies, she's been in horror movies, she was on Sanford and Son, and I was like, more people should know this person. And
Yes.
so, it's partially inspired by her. Aside from all the specific, you know, most of our panels are specific to profession, like, you know, Black actors, Black filmmakers, Black comic book artists, and things like that. But I think she inspired me to create a Living Legends panel where it doesn't really matter specifically what your profession is, but the thing that ties them all together is that they've been in their industries for decades, 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
Right. The knowledge is there.
Like The Hammer, if you're a blaxploitation fan, you
Fred Williamson.
Three the Hard Way. You may have seen Hell Up in Harlem. You may have seen Black Caesar. And
OGs. That's even, I mean, that was in the 90s, but I'm sorry, I get excited because Fred, that's my boy. I've actually seen him a couple of times. He's such a dope human being.
Yeah, and he's still frightening as shit. He's like 80 something years old, but he's still the kind of person that you're like, just whatever you say, man, just don't hurt me. Just don't hit me with the hammer.
I was at an event. I think it was Urban Action Expo, and I was just talking with him, and he was like, "You want to take a picture?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" And I'm taking a picture with him, and he's like, "Hold on, can I grab your arm so I can tie my shit?" He grabbed my arm. True. I was like, "Oh, hey, all right, Black Caesar, like, look now." I almost
please hammer, don't hurt him.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, get off me, sir. I'm not Jim Brown, sucker." Anyway, you know what I mean? I absolutely love this list of amazing performers. And I love that you said that you have something for those that want different parts of the industry. I know I have the good fortune of being a part of the comedians panel, but I see you have writers, actors. Why was it important to address each vocation? It seems like you were really specific in getting people who are a part of each vocation.
I mean, my whole thing is that Black people have been working in this country for centuries, since before this country was a country. We've done all the hard work, all the shitty work, all the fucked up, boring, you know, all the kinds of work. I would like to see us do more work like, you know, getting paid to draw pictures, getting paid to write comic books, getting paid to star in movies, getting paid to, you know, shoot those movies. Being like, I want to see us more of a shift from, you know, jobs to careers, creative careers, in which we are not only making a living and providing for our families and, you know, the benefits and all that, but we're pursuing something that's more meaningful to us. I've actually had more than one person who has now spoken on our panel. I approached them, and so I approached them to ask them to be on a panel, and they were like, "Are you sure you want me to be on a panel?" And the reason they were asking that is because most cons just want like the, you know, the bright shiny new actor, like whatever show just came out, they want to like take that person and put them on a poster and say, you know, come give us money so that you can come give them money and take their picture and whatever. Right. And yeah, we want the recognizable faces and the, you know, the famous people and all that. Like we're still trying to get Giancarlo Esposito.
Listen.
But
if you that we set it off, but that listen,
you know, I've got some back channels. I'm still working on it. It hasn't come through yet.
Listen, affirmations.
But you know, most cons want like that pretty new face that they can put on a poster and say, you know, this is the actor that was in, you know, whatever the latest thing is. but the Black community has more needs than that. We need more than just being entertained and being, given the opportunity to take our picture with someone. So if you look at our film and TV panel, we have a production assistant, we have camera crew, we have a hairstylist, these are people that are not generally called to speak on panels,
Yeah.
And that's why a couple of people
Yeah.
were confused that I was asking them to be on a panel. And I was like, well, do they pay you? Is that IMDb page with the last 20 Marvel films and your name at the top? Like, that's you? I'm not concerned about whether people recognize your face necessarily or recognize your name. You are a Black person with a good union job with union benefits and pay, and you are making a living. And you might not be in the most glamorous aspect of that profession, but you are in film and TV and you're making a good living. And there are plenty of Black folks who are working at the post office or a meat processing plant or wherever, and those are all no disrespect, those are all fine jobs, but many of them, if you gave them a choice, would you rather work at a meat packing plant or work on your favorite TV show?
True, I swear, brother. With our network, we bring in a lot of different people who want to do podcasting, streaming, things like that. Try to give them the base knowledge of how to get, basically like an introductory level to what you're talking about. And one of the things that I always talk about is, if you feel like when you're at your job that is not the thing that you should have been doing for the rest of your life, true creatives, they will work a full-on 8-hour job, go home and create for another 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's just something that you're compelled to do. And to have a medium like Blerdfest, where you can get the knowledge, the tutelage, and the information necessary for how to make at least get the information for how others have made livable wages, is an amazing concept. And the fact that you've already brought it to fruition, you've been doing it since 2019, we're going into 2024. I know my Black ass is going to be at every one of them from now on, because I'm already excited for this one. I wanted to come last year, didn't plan out, but I knew. Geneva hit me up. She said, "Kirk, do you?" I said, yes, I do. Yes, whatever it is, whatever we need to do. I said, I'm not missing it this time. And for some reason, maybe the stars aligned. Going through the guests, I knew more than half of the cosplayers. The list of stars and vocations, the panels. For you, what's your favorite activity and panel? If I said, hey, True, I only can make it to one, which one would you say is the go-to? Yeah, I got to put you on the spot.
Well, I'll say that I know people do like the celebrities, and they like the stars that they can identify from the movies. So our biggest one are the last two we have scheduled, the actors panel and then the living legends, because people like Wendell Pierce. Everyone knows Wendell Pierce.
I'm so.
Either you know him from The Wire, or you know him from Treme. If you're old enough, you remember him from roles like in Waiting to Exhale.
Oh yeah.
So and when I bring up like Wendell Pierce, like people are like, I love Wendell Pierce. So it's like, yeah, we all want to see Wendell Pierce, and and all the other people that we have coming in. But we're also bringing in Black people who have started their own video game companies and have been creating independent Black video games for 30 years. We have people. One of the panels that I'm most excited about. It's a little controversial. I
like controversy.
I don't think it should be, but it is. So I'm not from New Orleans, as I've mentioned. And so I think that I can look at the culture from sort of, a step removed and sort of see it. And my mind draws comparisons between the things that I see manifesting culturally in New Orleans with other things. And so one of the panels that we have is a costuming panel, where half the panel are traditional culture bearers, Mardi Gras Indians, Skull and Bones maskers, and the other half are contemporary Black cosplayers. And what I want to happen is I would like a discussion about the similarities and differences between those two practices. Some people that are of the traditional practices have not been especially warm to that comparison,
because they like that ain't what we do.
Right. I mean, granted, I understand that there is a very rich, deep spiritual tradition in Mardi Gras Indians, for example. But what is a Mardi Gras Indian if not a superhero? I mean, you take an ordinary person. You take an ordinary person who sees a character in a costume who is larger than life and says, that is fucking cool. I'm going to spend the next 5,000 hours of my life making a costume so that I can become, for a day, that larger than life superhero. Now, am I describing Mardi Gras Indians or am I describing cosplayers? Like, there is overlap, even if
the intersectionality that you were talking about.
There's some commonality, and granted, like, cosplay doesn't necessarily have the same spirituality to it. But I mean, I've known cosplayers that take that shit serious. Like, it's meaningful to them. Like, you can't spend 10 hours a day or all of your free time when you're not at work or taking care of your kids working on some cosplay for an event that you're going to go to on a particular day. Like, you can't do that unless there's something in your soul that's drawing you to it. So,
and you doing it? Were you doing it for free? Are you doing it out of your own passion and love? Like, there's something drawing you,
right? And I don't have the answers. I'm not saying it is this and it is that and they are the same. I'm not saying that they're same. I'm not saying they're identical. I'm saying that there's overlap, and I want us to explore what that overlap is.
And so, I think that's a great bridge.
Of all the panels, like, that one is actually the one I'm most excited about.
Well, look, I know I'm gonna have to pull up to that one, because I think having that bridge between nerdism, Black culture, and just pop culture in general. Like, when I try to explain to people, everybody's a nerd. They're a nerd about something. I said, if you play fantasy football and you love the NFL and you use statistics to play, I said, you're a D&D group, but just with football. That's your fantasy. You're role playing. You built a fantasy team. That's the same thing my friends do when they do D&D.
It's right there in the name. It's a fantasy
team. Right? And then, I'm not a nerd. Yes, the fuck you are. Yes, you are. And now, with the advent of the Black Fae becoming such a prominent figure in the nerd community, and shout out to Black Fae Day, Jasmine and her team, the way that they have just brought awareness to Black Fae culture. And like you said, the things that back in the day, I was born in '82, you put some elf ears on and some fairy wings and you start running around, you couldn't come to the family reunion like that. Like, yo, like you would either get laughed at, ridiculed, beat up, any number of the two. But now it's so widely accepted, it does start to breed conversations like the one you're trying to foster.
Well, I tell you, the year that you were born, I was going to Horace Mann Junior High School in South Central Los Angeles, a school that I had feared my entire life because all I heard growing up was about how many students had been killed in gang violence. I was a comic book nerd then, and the only thing that kept me from getting my ass kicked on a daily basis is that I've always been the tallest kid in my class.
They, no matter how much nerd you may be, you're big enough, they'll think twice. They'll absolutely think twice. So, okay, let's give some people some brass tacks. How much are the tickets, and where exactly is the con going to be held at?
Tickets are $25 for 18 plus, $15 for teenagers, free kids 12 and under. We had $5 off Black History Month. You heard it here first. We're extending that into Women's History Month.
True.
So
wait a minute. Hold the fucking phone. Wait a minute. Hold on now. You telling me, with you extending it into Women's History Month, for $20, I can come to this event and enjoy all this dope ass content for the day?
yeah, I have to admit this. The whole, numbers thing and the financial thing, my brain, that's the kind of thing that my brain kind of dozes off for. So I for the last 30 years of my life, I have been creating community-centered art experiences, and I've been so focused on the content and the creativity and the accessibility that that's what's most important to me. Like, this isn't, I mean, technically this is a business, but it's more like a community service. So I wanted to set the ticket prices low relative to cons that charge, $50, $55, $65, because I want to make it accessible to the widest range of people, because bringing the people in the door is more important to me than making more money off of fewer people.
True. Listen, if y'all out there listening, and I've already seen Jasmine say it a couple times, Soleil said it, Carolyn was talking about it. I see your comments. When we talk about supporting events for us, and that's my line, for us, by us, cultural events, these are the events that need the support and the help and the resources, the planning that we put into these bigger events that do not cater to us. The money and resources we pour into events that do not look like us. Don't even have, look at this food truck. That's a black man got that food truck. That that ain't at your anime conventions. They don't have, this looks seasoned, well seasoned, New Orleans seasoned.
One of the things that I've run into more times than I could count is most of the things that I've done over the last 30 years of my life have been specifically for the benefit of the Black community. It's not to the exclusion of anyone else. It's about Black people and anyone that's down with the mission of this being about Black people. So, like, Blerdfest isn't anti-white, it isn't anti-anybody else. It's focused on Black people. And with Blerdfest, just like with essentially every other thing that I've done for the last 30 years, someone will come along and ask the question, why is it gotta be white? And it's like, well,
you know why?
Like, your Comic-Con, it's not going to call itself a white Comic-Con, but when I look at the roster of invited guests and I see that 90% of them are almost identical, square jaw, scruffy haired white men, and then maybe you throw in like a Latino and a woman. I mean, you're not saying you're a white con, but
you definitely are.
Like, tell me you're a white con without telling me you're a white con. It's like you're showing me by the content that you're programming me that you're not interested in my life experiences. You're not interested in my stories. You're not interested in me. So, or my community. So, have your thing. I don't, fine. I go to other events. It doesn't have to always be about me. But when I try and make up for that dearth of representation here, and here, it'd be nice if for once I didn't have to hear that.
Because you know what? The people coming in the door know why I gotta be Black. God damn it. Listen, I don't know if y'all noticed, and I kind of scanned through it real quick. ASL services are provided. Quiet rooms for sensory overload are being provided. Obviously, EMS services, seasoned food. Honestly, I can tell you right now, the entire HNIC crew, and you know we run about 30 deep, easy. We are already looking for Airbnbs. We are going to be at Blerdfest deep. It's not a small contingency of us. Like almost half the network is going, and we want you there.
I
We
just
want to
want
see
to point
you.
out one thing, that picture you showed of the EMS, that actual guy is a Blerd that has come to our event.
So okay, no, so Jasmine to both Jasmines, the Jasmines is both asked. They said, "Hey, we want to help. We want to volunteer. How can we be a part of it?" For those who want to volunteer, assist, make it better. What can they do? How can they contact you?
Blerdfest.com has all the information. There's a page called Be Somebody, inspired by the Reverend Jesse Jackson. And if you go to blerdfest.com, you click on Be Somebody, it says be a vendor, be a sponsor, be a volunteer, be a guest. And you can find out how to be done. All the information that you should need should be on that site somewhere. And if it's not, if you have questions that are not on the site, then, you know, my name is True at blerdfestnola.com.
You can't make it no easier. Carolyn's a registered nurse. She already said Black medical personnel. Her thing is Black medical, more Black people in the medical field. So Carolyn, I already know you going. We already know we go. You coming? You definitely coming to NOLA with us. I'm super excited about this event. I'm going to bring up and talk about the specific time and date so that y'all got the information. Look, I'm right on the website. So there's no reason why y'all can't just go to blerdfestnola.com. It's May 18th, 2024. It's at McDonough 35 High School, 4000 Cadillac Street, NOLA, 70112. The theme, and this is what I wanted to kind of to go out on. You got to talk to me, True. What's up with this theme, man? Myths and legends. Are we supposed to come cosplayed up in our mythical and legendary gear? What's up?
I mean, sure. I mean, you don't have to come in cosplay. We have a theme every year that we tie all of the content around. So the first year, our theme was Afrofuturism. In 2020, our theme was mutation. And unfortunately, the mutation turned out to be the COVID virus.
Virus. Is that true? Was that y'all? Now, you didn't talked it up.
So basically, it's just a way for us to sort of coalesce our thoughts about a particular topic and then find out how that topic applies to each of these different specific things. So if you go through the panels, for example, you know, myth making is something that has been a part of Black people's history forever, basically. Like, you know, in Africa, we had griots that were passing down not only the history, but we're also creating folktales, that we're creating myths. So it's a part of the human experience. And so when you think about contemporary fields, like, you know, you're a filmmaker. If you're a filmmaker, you know, you're making contemporary myths. If you're writing books, you're making contemporary myths. If you're a comic book artist. And so the theme is just a way of exploring how this one thing can manifest in all different types of Black creative endeavors. And I have to say, there's one of the really big differences between us and other events like us is that most cons would define a nerd as someone that had a niche interest in horror or anime or superheroes or some kind of, you know, traditional nerdy thing. And that's cool. And that our event encompasses those things. But again, the Black community has more needs than that. So we're not just looking at nerds as something like you like superheroes. We're saying that is part of what we're talking about, but You can also be an archaeologist nerd. You can be an opera singer nerd. You can be a tech nerd. You can be a science nerd. You can be a math nerd. If you look at some of the bios of the guests, like someone on our writing panel, she's on our writing panel because she's writing a book about Marie Laveau, but she's an archaeologist and an anthropologist that specifically studies the history of Black people in New Orleans in the 17 and 1800s. And she may or may not have any interest in superheroes, but she's still a nerd. She's she's an archaeology nerd. And so we're trying to make space for Black excellence in a number of different ways that have never been included in something that resembled anything like a Comic-Con.
And I love it. And for those that might not be able to see it, 10% of the proceeds of Blerdfest 2024 are benefiting the Women's and Children's Shelter and Women with a Vision. I love that. Absolutely love that. You have every reason to go get your tickets now. And then I want you to tell 2 people and tell them to come with you. If we coming from all the way up north,
tell those 2 people to tell 2 people, and then tell those 2 people.
Keep it going. Keep the train. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I see who's in the comments. All of us collectively probably have over 1 million followers. Easy. I'm going to send y'all the promo material for Blerdfest 2024. And I want us to all set a specific date to mass blast to all our followers to pull up in New Orleans to support this event. Let them know we coming, and that they need to come too. And see, that's what I listen. So Joy already said she's going to buy tickets to donate, and that
you can donate too. But advance tickets help us because it gives us an idea of the numbers that we're dealing with. Like, so sooner than later, I'm still creating content for the event, and I'm still reaching out to panelists. Like, if you go through our panels, you'll see that some are pretty full and some don't have any panelists yet. And so we're still constructing all the pieces. We're putting all the pieces together. But, knowing how many people that we can expect, it helps us in the process of fleshing out the event and trying to figure out, how many more panels can we fit and can we bring in even more people? And,
so what you're telling me, True, is
a lot of people that had already pre-purchased tickets, it might inspire us to bring in even more content.
I'm about to say, so what you're telling me is, Kurt, do this sooner than later. So then let's do it like this. It's Wednesday. I'm gonna hit y'all all up. There's about 20, 30 of y'all in here. And I see your names. Y'all doing all this talking. We'll put the group chat together. I'm gonna make sure we pick a date this weekend. We're gonna blast, because too often do I hear y'all talk to me about, we want to go to different events. We want to support different events like this. Well, here it is. It's right there in front of your face. You asked for it. They've already curated everything, and it's what y'all want to do. We wanted a creative event that helped content creators. I'm not going to badmouth another event, but my thing is, you can go and spend $60, $70 to go to another event where they are not going to have any content to teach you how to get to where they are. But here, you actually have people in the fields that you're trying to get into.
Back in the civil rights era, one of the signs that they would carry outside of like the Woolworths that were refusing people access to their lunch counters, they would have signs that said, "Don't shop where you can't work."
Ooh. That's a tagline.
Why continue to give money to people that, they'll take your money, but, are they looking out for you? Are they concerned? Are they listening to you? Like, I've gone to a lot of these cons, and, it's not that I think that they're like intentionally, maliciously trying to like keep the black man down or whatever. I think that they just don't think about us. So,
Look, Carolyn says she
I'll
already at the
continue to
airport.
go, but if I wasn't me, and not like it's an either or, but like looking at two cons, one that had 95% white people in the roster, and one that was a reflection of people that I knew, and with a special emphasis on making sure that there's a strong representation of women. We are inclusive, like we have trans hosts, moderators. We have a youth contingent. One of our panels is specifically it's about Trinity City Comics. It is a New Orleans focused comic book that was created by several creative adults with a number of creative high school students, teenagers, and we have a panel in which you will see these 17-year-olds, these 18-year-olds, and they are given the same respect that everyone else is given, because we believe that kids are people too, and women are people too, and it's about a more inclusive, holistic view of community rather than just the latest flavor of white boy.
True. You should see these comments. They heading to the airport right now. look, they already planning the excursion. There's going to be a migration. I'm putting it out there right now. If I can't bring me personally 20 people by myself, HNIC will buy 10 tickets if you want to go. If you want to go, DM us. Just send us a DM. As soon as we get a list of 10, we'll put the money up to bring you down with us. To get in, you got to find your own way.
And I haven't yet updated the ticket site yet, but I will, right after this interview, I will go and extend our Black History Month $5 discount into our Women's History. I haven't done that because I've been doing 1,001 other Blerdfest things. But I will do that tonight so that anyone that wants a ticket for the month of March will have a $5 Women's History Month discount.
Look, he done already gave you the discount. We're going to put up 10. And I've seen a couple people who said they might not be able to make it, but they want to donate tickets. I want you to do that. I want you to sponsor people to come to Blerdfest, especially the young people. What I love about Blerdfest is it's not just for the adult nerd or the mature nerd. This is where we should be sending our kids to learn crafts that isn't just basketball, singing, rapping. Not saying that those things are bad, but come on now. Look, we getting ready to wrap it up. But True, where can people follow and support you on your social medias?
We are Blerdfest NOLA everywhere. Blerdfestnola.com is our site. Blerdfest NOLA, Facebook.com, Blerdfest NOLA, Instagram, Blerdfest NOLA, TikTok. We just started a TikTok, trying to, stay relevant with the folks younger than myself.
I hate that clock app, but you got to do it.
Let me tell you one quick anecdote about our very first one in 2019. There was a maybe 14-year-old kid who was asking his mother to bring him to the event, and they didn't buy tickets in advance, and tickets at the door are $5 more. So she was looking at spending $60 for herself and her son to get in. And she was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is it going to be worth it? And I guess he was convincing. And she bought the 2 tickets. And we had a panel that was, it was a comic book artist. It was a guy who was in charge of global anime for Netflix. So it had this whole panel of Black creatives who made a living doing things like, drawing pictures and anime and things like that. And during the Q&A, she said that up until that panel, she saw the little drawings that her son was doing, little anime drawings, as just a waste of time. She was like, basically like, put away those childish things and like, grow up and
be a man,
whatever. But seeing these Black creative professionals that had decades-long careers doing essentially what her son was into completely changed her perspective on her son's interests and gave her a newfound respect for what her son was into.
And parents, go with the kids, see what it's about, because I hate to say this, I really hate to say this, that 9 to 5 that you were taught to work versus the kid on YouTube who's creating content and making 5 times what you make because they're actually a creative and a personality and people want to watch their content, you may be doing more harm not fostering that creative spirit and putting them just in the same rat race that took your creative spirit away. Got to think about stuff like that when you're out there. Listen, that's a harsh truth. But I'm gonna keep it on the upbeat. Look, y'all already know what it is. Head Nurse in Charge is next, right after this interview. But I am so super, super, super excited and happy that you made time to sit down with us. We're going to keep this interview on a repeat. We're going to air it once a week, every week, until Blerdfest 2024. So if you missed it this time around and you caught the tail end of it, we're going to keep airing it. Make sure to watch the original stream. Make sure to share this with anybody who wants to know, all right, well, what's all this that we doing for Blerdfest? Where did it? You can show them this. And then you can let them know what's in store for them come May 18th in NOLA. The Nerd Takeover is coming. There's no reason why. Look, Jazz Fest got all our aunties and unks down there turning up. Black Mardi Gras, the Southern Classic, all the college kids. Why can't we take over NOLA come Blerdfest? Look,
Essence Fest. Essence Fest takes over the city in July.
Come on, y'all. We got, look, we spend money. And I'm just saying, I'll be the first one to give out my beads. I'm not going to say how you got to get the beads, but I'm bringing beads. Just know we out here. Y'all already know what it is. True. Thank you so much for making time for us tonight, brother. And
thank you.
Wakanda forever.
Forever. Shout out to women of Wakanda.
And guess what? There's so many creators that was a part of Black Panther. Just pull up. That's it. I can't tell you no more. If you saw this interview and you're not excited, well, something wrong with you. But y'all already know, True came through on the King's Court, rocked the mic, and as always, we can't wait to not only support this event, but to make sure that everybody knows that this is the one that they need to get to. This is the one. We will see y'all in a few minutes on the Head Nurse in Charge main show. But one of these days, I'm going to have True come back before the actual event, and then we're going to get some updates and talk a little bit more before the actual Blerdfest come May. True, you going to come back?
Sure.
My man. All right, y'all. Y'all already know what it is. I'm going to be hitting everybody up about getting this ticket group together. If you want to donate, just send us a direct DM. Make sure to go follow them on all their social medias, and then hit them up if you want to volunteer right on the main website. King Kurt Live, True CEO of Blerdfest 2024. We'll see you there.
There's about 2 billion people all over the world that looks like us, but their lives are a lot harder. Wakanda has the tools to liberate them all.